Good afternoon. The December 3rd, 2014 meeting of the Council on Aging is now being called to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioners, please turn on your mics. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now have the roll called by Staff Liaison Francine Spriegel.
Please say here present when I call your name. Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Fotheringham.
Here.
Commissioner Gorbach.
Here.
Commissioner Hagee.
Here.
Commissioner Healy.
Here.
Commissioner Kopaz.
Here.
Commissioner Norkin.
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Here.
And Commissioner Shentes.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4 on our agenda is public comments. A speaker card is available for those wishing to address the Council on Aging regarding items on the agenda or a subject regarding senior activities in our city. Speakers are requested to state their name and city of residence for the record. Are there any public comments today? Okay. Seeing none, Commissioner reports are next on our agenda, and I'd like to ask Vice Chair Healy to introduce those.
Okay. You sure I was looking at something different on mine? Okay, thank you. Okay, the commission reports today are going to start with education. Commissioner Gorbach, right?
Yes, thank you very much. A couple months ago, we talked about the importance of continuing to learn throughout a lifetime in order to maintain brain health. And then last month, I gave you some recommendations for some inexpensive and free courses in our community, along with the fabulous courses at Goebel and Conejo Valley Adult School, of course. And then this month, I would like to talk to you about absolutely free learning opportunities available on the internet. And, the operative word here is free. Now, of course, we can find online courses that you can pay for at all the local community colleges and the universities, and they are wonderful. But I'm going to talk to you today about things that you can access on the internet, either at your home or at the Goebel Center or in the library, wherever there's internet access without cost. And the first thing I would like to recommend is YouTube. We've all had cutesy videos passed along to us about kitty cats who jump and look at themselves in the mirror and wonderful dogs and baby videos. But YouTube is full of really wonderful instruction also. For instance, I just did a very quick search yesterday. If I wanted to learn about the stock market, I can find an instructional video called Stock Market for Beginners. I can learn French. I can learn how to write a book. I can learn how to research the genealogy of my family. Or what I personally look for on YouTube when I need to learn something is technology. I recently learned how to embed or to put a video into my website. And I simply went into the YouTube subject line and wrote in how to embed a video into a website. So, but you have to be careful with YouTube because, of course, anybody can post anything. So when you take a look at YouTube videos to learn something new, you can also Google whoever the presenter is on that video to determine if that presenter is legitimate. Maybe that person has his or her own website because, of course, anybody can post anything on YouTube, so be careful. Now, if you are interested in learning something a little more serious online, and again, free, I want you to Google free online university courses. There are so many of them, you would not believe it. You can take free courses from Berkeley, from Stanford, from MIT, and these are professors who have allowed their courses to be videotaped. And some of them are just audio, but that's okay. I listened to a little bit of an audio lecture on it was a historical lecture, but it was audio from Berkeley yesterday about Greece, fabulous, and some of them are videotaped. So it's like you are a student actually sitting in that classroom, and there is no cost to it. Here's just a couple, just to give you just a little bit of a taste. There's a course called Near East Art and Culture. Again, a free video from UC Berkeley. I found a course on beginning Shakespeare, a lecture video course from Harvard University. There are art classes at the Annenberg Media Center through Stanford, and there's Yale, MIT. Again, the way to find these in a Google search bar, just put in free online university classes. And enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is legislative, and I run this right here, Commissioner.
Okay. I'm all excited about signing up for those free courses.
Some legislation.
We have 120 California senior legislators that choose legislation that they feel is important for seniors. And then they try to get those items actually to take the form of a bill and eventually, hopefully, become a law. A few of those items are AP 11, which is regarding prescriptions. And this proposal lists the purpose of a drug prescription on the container. Now, for seniors who, as myself, have a lot of prescriptions, and I forget what each one of them is a blood thinner, one of them's, so I don't know which is which. So now they would have to put that information on the container, whether it's for blood thinner or if it's for headaches or if it's for whatever the drug is designed for. And that's AP 11, which is they're going to try to make a bill out of that. Then there's dementia training, and this proposal requires special training in managing dementia patients for paramedics, nurses, hospital staff, and all medical personnel would have to take courses to make them better understand the problem of dementia in seniors. Another one is the Alzheimer's Disease Prevention and Early Intervention Program. That's SP1, which is a Senate proposal. And the Senate is proposing this legislation, which makes money available for prevention, intervention, and education in combating Alzheimer's disease. 45% of those 85 years and older will be affected by this disease, so this affects a lot of seniors, and I feel that these are worthy of your consideration. Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Nancy. Item 6 on our agenda is the liaison reports, and we'll start with a report for the Caneo Senior Volunteer Program from Commissioner O'Connor.
Thank you. Today, actually, the 2014 Annual Recognition Luncheon is taking place at the North Ranch Country Club. Every volunteer that has worked at least 150 over the past year was invited. There are over 300 people in attendance today. This is always fun with great food, many raffle gifts, and special recognition for volunteers. So we ask the CSVP volunteers, don't forget to turn in your volunteer hours so that you may be invited to next year's festivities. There's also a free tax preparation service. This free service is offered each year for adults age 60 plus and for households earning less than $50,000 a year. The service will be taking place at Conejo Creek South Community Room, which is across the street from the Goebel Center, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and at the Newberry Park Library on Wednesdays. This service will begin in February. It is a first come, first served. No appointments. The Caneo Senior Volunteer Program is still accepting additional volunteers to assist with this service. Please contact the office for more information. Community contributions. Month after month, CSVP programs make items that are donated to charitable organizations. Just this past month, CSVP donated over 200 blankets, hats, scarves, teddy bears, and other handmade items to Every Child's Dream Foundation and My Stuffed Bags Foundation. You can help keep this going by donating material to CSVP to use for these projects. There is especially a need right now for baby yarn and bolts of wool, fleece, and flannel. Now, last but not least, the 2015 Wellness Fest is coming up. CSVP is very excited to announce that the 2015 Wellness Fest is going to be taking place at the Goebel Center on Wednesday, January 21st, 9 to 1. This fundraiser for CSVP is brought to you by Los Robles Hospital and UCLA Health. There will be over 50 tables bringing you free services such as medical screenings and massage, information, and entertainment. This event is free to attend, but getting an advance ticket guarantees you a free lunch and a raffle ticket. Tickets are available at the Goebel Center beginning December 15th. I hope you will participate in some of these neat things coming up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Donna. And our good friend Patty's here to bring us up to date on what's going on at the Goebel Center in December, the Goebel Adult Community Center.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. I would like to share with you some very fun holiday happenings at the Goebel Adult Community Center in December. Starting off with this coming Monday, December the 8th, we are hosting a holiday party, and it's going to include lunch, entertainment, some raffle prizes, and of course our Goebel Senior Center Commission will be sponsoring the Ugly Sweater Contest. So that's always fun. I know you have some ugly sweaters in your closets that you can put on and come join us.
She saw you last year.
Ugly sweaters are the rave. So that will begin at 12 o'clock. And it's a lunch, and tickets are $5. And we are limited to 150 seats, and we have about 11 tickets left before I left the center. So if you haven't gotten them, go get your ticket. You can get it at the front desk. We also have next Friday the Rotary Club Annual Holiday Breakfast. The Rotary Club of Westlake, Sunrise, will be hosting their free community breakfast at the Goebel Adult Community Center from 7 to 9 a.m. next Friday. And that's always very popular. And you can call for reservations at the center or stop by the front desk. But you do need to make reservations because seating is limited, but it's still free. And then our last event I'd like to talk to you about is our Mrs. Claus Gingerbread House Workshop. This is a fun event where grandmas and grandpas are coming to the center, and they're going to spend time with their grandkids making gingerbread houses. And that is from 9 to 11 on Saturday, December 13th. And the cost for that is $5 per house. And you can call and reserve a spot for that at the center or stop by the front desk. The number at the center is 805-381-2744.
Thank you, Patty. And our last liaison report is from the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, and Commissioner Healy will bring us that.
Thank you, Nick. I think a lot of people may not even know that we have such things as area agencies on aging, but they are located through the state, through the whole state. The one that applies to us is the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging. It's in Ventura. It's on County Square Drive in Ventura. The meetings are open to the public. I will give you pretty much the meeting schedule in just a minute, not every one, but when they meet. What these area agencies on aging do and bring to the community is they are local aging programs that provide information and services on a range of assistance for older adults and those who care for them. By contacting your local agency, you get access to critical information, including services that are available in this county, not just Thousand Oaks, but throughout the county, mobility assistance programs that they know about that you may not know about, meal plans, housing, assistance in gaining access to different services that are available, sometimes very, very low cost, depending on your status. They also provide individual counseling, support groups, and caregiver training. They have respite care. They run a lot of programs that are on grants, programs to the grants. They do supplemental services. They are aware of programs that can even provide housekeeping for people who really have to have that. They meet in our county. I've just put it here. Nick probably knows what day it is. We meet one Wednesday a month, and it's in Ventura. They meet on the next meeting will be January the 14th. 2015. Again, it's on County Square Drive in Ventura. They are open to the public. You just learn a lot of things. One of the things I'm going to mention today is that what we do is a lot of the local nonprofits and agencies work on grants, federal grants, state grants. And so sometimes I hear people say, well, how do we know that it's going to the right place? How do we know that this money is being spent the way it is? We have on the Council on Aging, we have a quarterly performance report for every single person, every single entity, agency that we supervised grant money for. We have statistics on how they did for that month, what they have provided, what they still need to provide to reach their goal. It's a great check on our local programs. And Commissioner Fotheringham is this year chairman of our Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, and I am a representative. There are two of us from Thousand Oaks. All of the cities are involved. So if you want to get more knowledge, information about what's available, not just in our city, which is important too, but the county, certainly you can contact the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, and it's on the website. Any of us can tell you it's really easy to get to. Come to the meetings, and they're just every 2 months, so you could easily go to all of them. So, okay, thank you very much. And I'll try to take each month some of the different things that they are doing there so you'll know about the services. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Nancy. Today we have a special report brought to us by our Senior Adult Master Plan Transportation team, and our liaison to that team, Ron Hagee, will introduce that topic.
Thank you. Well, the last meeting I went to, I was really excited because here's a program that all seniors 65 and older living in Ventura County can participate in, and it's great because it's a way to get reimbursed for mileage driving you, your family, your neighbors. People drive you here, they drive you there, they drive you to shopping, maybe take you to doctors, dentist appointments. And this is a program that just blew me away. And I'm going to let Nicole Cavallino tell you about it. She's the consultant for Mobility Management Partners. And I'll just turn it over to Nicole.
Coming up actually at the Goebel Center for this project. So if you want any additional questions answered, I would suggest it will be in the newsletter. It's in the newsletter for December 12th, which is a Friday, and that'll be at 12:30 in the afternoon. And then we're also having a workshop explaining this program more in detail Also on Tuesday, the 16th of December at 5:30. I will also be presenting this at Senior Concerns, the Active Living Center, on January 7th at 5:30 p.m. So if I don't get your questions answered today, please attend one of those or give us a call, and I will be so happy to go through it in detail with you. But the project itself is a mileage reimbursement program. Just as Ron had mentioned, it is actually funded through Ventura County Transportation Commission. It is a federally funded grant through New Freedoms Grant, and we are granted for 2 years. And actually, just as of the 1st, so just as of Monday, we started the pilot in Simi Valley and in Oxnard for those residents, and actually county-wide, so all the way from Simi all the way back up to Ventura, we will be starting January 1st on this program. Also, the program is for specifically older adults. The idea behind this program is to give an additional mobility option to those older adults that really just need to get out and about into the community. So this program can actually be used for any ride that you would generally maybe take on a dial-a-ride service, or using a fixed route bus system or a shuttle system, anything like that. So I've been getting a lot of questions. Can I really take this to the movies? If you need to get to the movies and somebody's driving you there, and this makes that ask for somebody to be able to drive you there a little easier, absolutely. Apply for the program, because it is considered for all activities throughout Ventura County. So that could be from the movies to the doctors, to visit your friends, to go to the senior center, the beauty parlor, to go to the post office. Anything that you need to get out throughout the county can be applied for. And I say applied because there is still an eligibility process. It's a pretty simple process, of which we do a needs assessment over the phone, or we can actually do it at a senior center too. But basically, the applicant, if they're interested in this program, if this sounds good to you, you would either attend one of the workshops and we can sign you up right there, or you can give us a call. Very, very easy to get in touch with us. We are, and I just want to make sure I'm saying this number correctly, 888-667-7003. And I'm going to give you the actual extension to Letty Gutierrez. She's our mobility coordinator, and she does the mobility assessment to see who would be eligible for this program, and her extension is 516. So if you're interested, either attend a workshop or give us a call. What would happen next is we do a mobility assessment, like I was mentioning, and we're going to ask you, where do you want to go? Where do you need to go? Now, if it's within the county, you can actually request up to 100 miles a month for rides around the county. Now, that number sounds big to some and small to some, but it's been interesting as we've been going through it. A lot of people just request maybe 30 miles, 40 miles, but some people have a lot more miles. So we're going to be able to see the average as we get through this pilot of what we're requesting. Now, one big thing, though, that I want to mention in this program is that we started it by asking our older adults. We received 156 anonymous surveys back, and we asked before we started writing this, what would you like in this program? How can we make this tailored to you so this really is an additional option for you? What we found, besides the fact that everybody just seems to be very interested, so it makes it really easy to talk about, but we actually found that going out of the county was a huge request. So in addition to being able to go within the county for 100 miles per month, this is per month, you would also be able to use this program to go out of county for medical trips. So that is the big applause piece, I think, of this project, because I think from what I've heard and just interviewing and speaking with our older adults in this county, so many of our older adults need to get to UCLA, to West LA VA, to USC, to Kaiser Permanente in Woodland Hills. That's a gigantic one. All of those have been included in this project, and you're actually able to request reimbursement for it as long as you have medical verification, which is actually something that we do on our side too. So you need to make the request, and we do all the other legwork behind that. Once again, I don't want to go terribly that much into detail. I don't want to take that much time here. But if you are interested in learning more about this program, you can go to our website. I'm actually going to be posting up other workshop dates as well, because this will be throughout the county. So we're actually doing workshops. They're called How to Participate workshops, as simple as that. And they're about an hour. The first half hour actually goes through the program details. The second half hour is all discussion, because as we've learned also through just working with our older adults, There are a lot of particular questions to be answered in this program, so we want to take the time to have the discussion. So those workshops will look like that. Otherwise, though, that whole conversation can also happen on the phone if you want to give Letty a call and she can work it through like that. From point A of interest in the program to the point where you can actually start reimbursing is about 30 days. So if you are interested in the program countywide, it will start in January, but you can actually start applying as of today because we're in our pilot phase. So I welcome you to come to our website. We're mobilitymp.org. We're Mobility Management Partners. We're a nonprofit local. Or give us a call at 888-667-7003, and Letty's extension is 516. Thank you so much. Any questions? Yes.
I have a question. Let's say I've been talking to a lot of people about this program, and some of the questions I get are, well, if I drive my wife every place, and do I qualify, or does my wife qualify because she's the rider,
Exactly.
the rider driven, and even though she might be able to take the car herself, but I drive her every place.
Right. A lot of good questions, actually, in that question. It's a bunch of questions in there. First, it's not limited to those who don't drive, because sometimes people don't like to go on the highway, or they don't like to drive at night, or in early morning, and that can be limiting. So first, I'll just answer that question. If she's still driving, but somebody drives her to certain locations, then those locations would be eligible under this program. She wouldn't be eliminated just because she drives. Second question, I think, was in there. As a family member, you actually are able to be reimbursed under this program. That's something very unique that we included in this program rather than other programs that we looked at nationally. But we feel that oftentimes our families are responsible oftentimes for taking those rides. And it is nice to be able to say that, to even ask, to make the ask a little easier by saying I can reimburse you. We wanted to include that within this program. So it can be friends, family, neighbors. And then what we would also do is when you are welcomed into the program, we give you a lot of instruction on how to ask that favor. So a lot of times we're going to find those that are just, I don't want to ask the favor. Now I have a little money in my pocket to give back for mileage reimbursement, but how do I ask? So we go along that route. And then I think the third question that was in there was, if you drove her there, would she need to drive back? Was that or how would that work in round terms? Let's just say you drove your wife to the pharmacy, and that trip was eligible. It was deemed eligible with Letty when she did the needs assessment. Let's just say the ride back, somebody else picks her up and brings her home. That would be a separate trip altogether, but it would be included, and that's actually a big reason why we did it rider-centered, because the rider then can have as many drivers as they need. They can use as many options in transportation as they want to. So maybe somebody would take the public bus somewhere, and then on the way home, they would get a drive home from somebody. So we actually look at all of our trips as one-ways, with the understanding that most likely they'll be round trip, but that way it gives a lot more freedom to that rider in particular. I hope that answered your question. Yes.
What a terrific program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you tell us approximately what the mileage reimbursement is?
I sure will. Actually, did I not even say that? My goodness, 35 cents per mile up to 100 miles. So that's within Ventura County. You wouldn't need any verification. Now, if you go outside of Ventura County, that 100 miles is going to add up very, very quickly. So we put an additional cap for those who have medical visits outside of the county up to 300 miles per month. If you look at it in dollars and cents, basically if you were to take a 60-mile route one way, let's just say from Ventura down to USC, let's say if you have to do that, or I'm not sure if those are the right numbers or not, but the most you could be reimbursed on a long trip would be 35 cents a mile still, up to 60 miles each way. So you can get 120 miles per round trip, which actually ends up being about $21. So if you think about, if you have to get a ride to UCLA, and you have to ask a neighbor or a friend to do that, it's a lot easier to make that ask, saying that I can give you $21 back, at least one way, if they'll help you out with that. It's not a time thing, though. So if you need somebody to wait for you at an appointment, that's not included in this. So we want to make sure that we put that out there at that point in time, but you can be reimbursed for the mileage in itself. You're very welcome. Any other questions? No? Please.
My question is it based on income?
It is not based on income. It is not. No, it's primarily it's really just an additional option that Ventura County Transportation Commission is giving us to provide for our older adults just to be able to get around, basically. So it's not set on that at all. It's only age, and you have to be a Ventura County resident, 65 and older. Any other questions? Yes.
I just want to clarify something.
Please.
You did say that you could apply over the telephone. You don't have to go to the meeting.
You do not.
It can be done over the phone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And either myself or Letty can answer any questions over the phone. We're both at the same number. So if you have any questions, we're so happy to explain this program. So we can just take your call and really even make a time for you. What we've noticed also is that a lot of times the rider themselves, it's best if you do more of a group call. So if there's a family member that can be involved or even speak for that person who's taking the rides, we're happy with that too, to just get the family involved as much as possible, because really what it comes down to is people helping people in this project. So the more voices and the brainstorming that you have involved with it, the better. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
Item 8 on our agenda is our core presentation for today, and Commissioner Kopacz will introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Nick. First, I'd like to thank Angela Christian. Angela is the Preparedness Education Coordinator for the Red Cross, and she is responsible for helping to put this program together today. We have with us Bob Engler, who is the liaison in the Emergency Operations Center, representing the Red Cross for the last 8 years. Bob was a career firefighter and retired as City Fire Chief from the city of Redondo Beach. He was also the disaster coordinator for Redondo Beach. And we will start off today with our own Graham Watts, who is the Special Projects Manager and the Emergency Service Coordinator with the City of Thousand Oaks. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you. And it's my pleasure to be here today. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, my name is Graham Watts. I work for the City of Thousand Oaks as your Emergency Services Coordinator, among other functions. I also manage other particular projects in the Public Works Department, but of particular interest today will be emergency preparedness. And what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about the, get that right? Just to give you a broad overview of how the city operates and how the city operates with the county, and as well as how the county operates within what's called an operational area and statewide. What's important to note is that the city is one of many agencies that supports emergency preparedness. So it's not just a fire action or a police action or even a public works action. All the agencies come together to work in what's called unified command and multi-agency coordination. So, and some of the key elements of that would be mutual aid support. So if we're overextended or are hurting in terms of our limited resources, we can reach out to other agencies. So state and county operate as lead agencies, and we have special districts, school districts, water districts, all come together to work collaboratively in terms of responding to local or even national incidents. And as you'll hear more often with any type of incident, they all work within a certain structure, and that structure is works within management, operations, logistics, finance, planning, and intelligence. And these are all sections of a agency's response that have specific responsibilities, so there's no confusion as to who is to do what. And there's your structure. So the city is one of the agencies within this particular structure, works through the Thousand Oaks Police Department and the Ventura County Fire Department. Our lead agency is the county sheriff. So the sheriff is in most instances, the lead agent in almost every incident, the lead agency. Now, it would depend on the type of incident that you're having. If it's a fire, it might be a fire incident commander. In some instances, it may be in public works. It all varies by the type of incident. But you'll see there as we have the Thousand Oaks Police Department, which is contracted through the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, and then, of course, the Fire District, which is a separate agency, and the City Operations Team, which is comprised of several officials from throughout the city playing primary roles within those sections I noted earlier as finance, logistics, management, operations, planning, and intelligence. They all have specific roles. And then it gives you the county perspective. So you have the State Office of Emergency Services and the county. All of these other agencies work through the county, and the county works through the state, and the state works within a region, and then the region works all the way up, and then it goes to the federal government. So hopefully we don't get that far. But that's how we're structured. And then in terms of local involvement, just getting involved, there's a couple areas, 2 or 3 areas that are of particular interest. The CERT program is very actively engaged in Ventura County and has for about the last 8 years when it really got going. Los Angeles Fire Department actually created the CERT program, has now gone nationwide. And this program in Thousand Oaks has about 600 to 700 people that have gone through this free program. Now, we just recently completed 2 of our 2 CERT classes, and we like to hold them on 3 successive Saturdays. And we actually do one of those classes at City Hall and then 2 others at the fire department headquarters in Camarillo. And it's just general basic preparedness, where it might be fire suppression, putting out a fire extinguisher, basic CPR, things of that nature. And that's operated through the fire department in coordination with the city. The DART program, which is Disaster Assistance Response Team, that's managed through the Thousand Oaks Police Department, and that's a little more advanced, where the people involved, those that have gone through the program, have a uniform, it's a little bit more structured, and actually respond to the incident. Whereas the CERT program most likely isn't going to be activated to respond to the incident, where they may just work within their own neighborhood to ensure that they're properly prepared and are able to respond within that neighborhood. Whereas DART will actually work through the fire department or through the sheriff's department and or police department, depending on the incident. But they may help out with evacuations. They may be called out in the middle of the night. Any number of things. And then ACS, which is Auxiliary Communication Services, is another volunteer group that their focus is communications, setting up ham radio communications. And we have an outstanding program in Ventura, nationally recognized communication system set up by volunteers who are ready to roll and hop in their cars to the incident or the Emergency Operations Center, which may be in Thousand Oaks or any of the other Emergency Operations Centers countywide, and help set up communications. So when those phones do fail, they're ready to help the cities. And then just to give you a perspective, we have so many incidents that happen on a regular basis, and thankfully we haven't had too many major ones recently, although we just experienced a local incident with Camarillo and Santa Paula that we'll hear more about later. But we've actually had kind of a downside for some time here in terms of haven't had any recent fires in about almost 2 years now since the Springs fire. But we learn a lot, and what you don't want to do is sit and wait wondering when someone's going to come help you. You need to be able to take care of yourself. And so having a family disaster plan is critical for doing that. So when something happens, don't sit at home waiting for someone to come knock on the door and save you. It's really self-sufficient action is really what is important. So some of the key features in doing that would be to obviously know your neighbors and practice your evacuation plan with your family and neighbors. Have an idea of where to go and what to do when the power goes out, when you have floodwaters heading your way, when we have an earthquake, whatever it might be. Think about that. Establish an out-of-state contact so that your family knows where or what to do. The phones are going to fail for hopefully just a limited amount of time. Landlines come in handy for that. But you don't want people worried about where you're going to go or what you're going to do. But they may be able to call you. You may not be able to call them because the lines will be full. But if you have some type of plan of how or who to be contacted, that would be really helpful. We have some ideas on how to do that. Obviously, know the location of your utilities, electricity, gas, and water, and know where they are, how to turn them off, what to do. Think about that. And then a very basic step would be to leave your keys next to your bed every night when you go to bed with a flashlight and maybe your clothes and slippers, whatever it might be, that you can quickly put on and head downstairs when the power goes out. Having keys to your car right away would be a lot easier than scurrying around downstairs or around the corner trying to figure out where your keys are. Having them ready to go, your alarm may go off, and you may want to turn that off right away. So it's just something to consider. A VC Alert. VC Alert is a very powerful program and very useful free program that's offered countywide. In some areas, this is referred to as Reverse 911. Now, that is a trade name. It's a company name. This is not Reverse 911. This is VC Alert, which is a phone, email, notification system that provides you with immediate information on the status of an incident, where to go, and what to do. It's very simple to sign up for, and it's a very useful tool. You put your information in, where you work, where you frequent. It could be your school, it could be your family, and how do you want to be notified? Do you want them to call your house phone first? Do you want the system to call your cell phone? Do you want an email at your home or your work? Whatever it might be, you can adjust all of that. And all the information, in addition to the materials I have here and available at City Hall and the library, would be just to visit readyventuracounty.org. That would be the website, www.readyventuracounty.org, or you can call my office or the Ventura County Sheriff's Office at 805-648-9283. Or you can easily find it online at vcalert.org. That will find it as well. Just during the holidays, just a couple things to consider. Know and check on your neighbors. Get to know your neighbors. Make sure they're okay, and check in with them as often as you can. Always have water and emergency supplies on hand. Never take anything for granted. And just some things to consider for the holidays would be an artificial tree. The fire-resistant trees as well are really important, because if you leave those lights on, they get pretty hot, and you could have an incident. Some obvious things: don't put your excess paper or anything plastic in the fireplace. That is just a disaster waiting to happen, so to speak. And then, not too often, people don't do this often enough, but check your chimney and have someone look into it. Make sure it's clear. Make sure the flue is clean and clear, and that you don't have any potential backup. Some other thoughts to consider: battery-operated cables. Always have a fire extinguisher ready. As I said earlier, sign yourself up and encourage your friends to sign up for VC Alert. Everyone in Ventura County should be on this system, and our membership continues to grow, but we also need to do a better job of getting the word out on this program. So if you could help share that would be good. Some other basic things: you never know when the gas prices are going to go up or when they're going to run out of gas, because you need to make sure your gas tank is full. When we have that earthquake and you can't get around town because you're low on gas, it's a big deal to have gas in your car. It's a huge convenience. Put an emergency kit in your car. Have it in your trunk all the time, and make sure your family members have the same thing. And as we hear all the time, there's too many people doing it. Please don't text and drive. It's just a bad idea. That's a disaster waiting to happen as well. Some of the resources I'd like to just make available to you: the City of Thousand Oaks Emergency website. Just visit tokes.org. You can hear more from the American Red Cross. They're a great resource. arcventura.org. I would suggest you look into that. Ventura County Fire Department has everything on CERT and many other programs that you can get involved with. And then the Sheriff's Department, certainly VC Alert. And then lastly, I'd just like to mention Ventura County United Way. This is an organization that I think is often underlooked, really, in terms of what they provide. Not just emergency program services, but all types of social programs. They're a great resource. So if you have any questions on anything in Ventura County, contact the Ventura County United Way. They are a portal of information that they directly connect with all of the agencies and cities of Ventura County, and they do an outstanding job. If they don't have the answer, they'll find it for you. So those are just a few tips of what's up with emergency preparedness in Thousand Oaks and Ventura County. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any particular questions.
Okay. Thank you, Graham.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. And one of those books that I picked up in the back, the Emergency Preparedness Handbook, where can we obtain these?
Thank you. I should have mentioned that earlier. This is one of the many materials we have, but the books are available for free, and you can get them at the library. If we're out, we have them at the Senior Center, but at City Hall, you can come into City Hall, and I can give you boxes of them, so you can distribute them to your neighborhood. So you can call 449 my number, 449-2100. The City of Thousand Oaks Public Works Department has as many of these as you need, so just let us know.
Great. Also, I have another question, and that is, how can people become volunteers with programs such as the CERT and others?
Thank you. The CERT program is scheduled for its next class in April 2015. But right now we're taking names of people who can sign up for the program. It's through our website. So that would be www.toaks.org. And just go into Emergency Preparedness or the Public Works Department and look up CERT, and then you'll see us. You can also access that same information through the Ventura County Fire Department.
Okay. Yes.
You mentioned the coordination between the various government agencies in this effort, and many major employers often have their own emergency preparedness plan, and often when something like an earthquake happens when people are at work, their first concern is, how do I contact my family and make sure they're safe? Is there an attempt to coordinate between the government and private industry and so forth and keep these plans synced?
Well, that's a great question, and depending on the industry, they all come under different umbrellas or requirements. But some of our larger employers we are working directly with in terms of setting up mutual aid agreements and supportive programs, so that when something does hit or go wrong, that there's a process in place for them to address their primary needs. And in the situation with the city, our focus will be to get the roads open, to get the utilities up, to get the water turned on, and make sure all the public safety agencies can respond to the needs of the residences and businesses. Our first priority are people, and we'll do that, and then we'll work toward infrastructure and businesses, and that primarily in that order. So, and always in the environment being considered as well. But businesses do have separate plans in place, and whether it's a hospital or a large corporation, they all fall under different regulations. But emergency preparedness plans are in place, yes.
Thank you. I believe I signed up for this when it first came out. And then about a month ago, I received a call from the sheriff's station about a missing senior with a description of the man and that he had no memory impairment and to be on the lookout. And I thought, this is great to be able to put out that kind of information so quickly to a large, and I suppose it's by neighborhood. You can probably select the neighborhoods that the alert goes out to. And then an hour later received the phone call that the gentleman had been located. Was that through this service?
That is VC Alert. Now, many years ago, we did have a program called TO City Alert. The same contractor has now gone county-wide, so instead of having one city and another city with a different, we all have the same contractor county-wide, which is fairly unusual for every agency in Ventura County to be on the same system. And in this case, it's worked. So in your particular instance, that you were in a certain area that the sheriff's department determined was likely to include this person, and they were able to map out a general area that they would like to notify that they think that this is where that person might be. And we have had situations where the same situations come up and it's been successful and that person's been located. And we don't use it all the time. It's not used. You don't want it overused because people are not pleased to get messages unless it's really an emergency. But the system allows you to adjust to your needs as to how often you want to be contacted. But obviously for something like that, they're able to override and just send out a quick message, hey, please be on the alert for this particular person and how to respond. And it's almost like an Amber Alert. Mm-hmm.
Graham, I have one last question. And you mentioned having a emergency package in your car. What would you recommend that we have in the car?
Oh, that's perfect. Well, that'll be a great segue into American Red Cross's presentation. They have some samples here, and there are lots of different books. I will suggest one other thing, though, that the handbook I have all gives you, as well as the websites and as what you'll hear from American Red Cross, all gives you a listing of the types of things you want to have in your car, at your home, and how to respond, how to be prepared.
Great. Thank you again for coming and sharing with us, Graham, on our emergency preparedness program.
My pleasure.
And now we'll hear from Bob Engler. Okay, I've been asked to introduce Bob again. Bob Engler is the liaison in the Emergency Operations Center representing the Red Cross as a volunteer for the last 8 years. He was a career firefighter and retired as city fire chief from the city of Redondo Beach, and he was also the disaster coordinator for Redondo Beach.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting the Red Cross to participate today. Chairman and members of the council, my name is Bob Engler, and I have been a volunteer for the Red Cross since 2007. And I would encourage anybody who has an interest in emergency preparedness or in serving the community in this way to consider the Red Cross as a means of volunteering. Before I start on presenting information on preparedness, I'd like to give a little bit of a background on the Red Cross. Everybody thinks they know what the Red Cross does, but we have 5 services that we perform for the nation. Disaster services being just one of them. My specialty is in disaster services, but we also have blood services, where the Red Cross comes and has the largest blood bank available for anyone in the country. We do preparedness and health education. Many of you may have been, taken our swimming or our have teenagers who took the babysitting classes, all provided by the Red Cross. We also have international services that we provide. All around the world, the American Red Cross will respond to assist other Red Crosses and Red Crescents in other countries. And one of the ones that people forget about that the Red Cross is very much involved in is our service to armed forces. At our base here in Navy Base Ventura, every time any of our members of the service organizations left to go to anywhere in the world, we are there sending them off, and we are there welcoming them back. That's just another one of the services that Red Cross provides in our community. Our Red Cross, I'll just read this for you. This is our saying that we go by: prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. That is the code by which we live. We do it in a non-judgmental and a non-partisan way. If you need help, the Red Cross is there to serve you. A good example of that is Japan. During the earthquake they had 2 years ago, the American Red Cross provided almost half of the resources that went to alleviating the suffering in Japan after that earthquake and tsunami. We are still there helping them. It's an ongoing basis. This is a picture of Hurricane Sandy. My own wife went to Hurricane Sandy and spent 3 weeks in New Jersey helping alleviate the suffering in that area. thousands and thousands of people were displaced. The Red Cross served millions of meals to people who were displaced during that event. You may recognize this photo. This photo is something that we all perhaps experience if we've lived in California long enough. This is a picture of the Northridge earthquake just 20 years ago now. The Red Cross was on scene for that, as any other disaster. The Red Cross in this area in the last year has had two large events that pretty much flew under the radar. About 1 year ago, we had simultaneous fires in two cities in our area. Oxnard had a fire that displaced almost 100 people for a total of 3 weeks. And in Santa Maria, 75 people were displaced for a period of 2.5 weeks. The Red Cross sheltered those people and assisted those people in getting new homes for themselves.
What happened to our house last year about your birthday?
And the water flooded out. Yeah.
The Red Cross arranged the hotel for us. They gave me that break, that leverage to be able to get it together and take care of them, you know? I feel like we've come full circle.
This is how I'll do it.
There you go.
I often ask this question when I have a live audience as well. But what's the most common disaster you can think of? The most common disaster is a personal disaster, typically a fire in your home. That happens on a regular basis. In Ventura County, we had 51 incidents last year where people were displaced from their homes and needed the services of the Red Cross. How can you be prepared for those? You must think ahead. You must be ready before it happens. There's the old saying, a Boy Scout is always prepared. That is what you need to be if you wish to be able to handle an emergency and handle a disaster in a expedient way. We have 3 ideas for you. Get a kit, make a plan, and be informed. If you follow those 3 items, you'll go a long way to being prepared for any disaster, not just a personal disaster, but a large-scale disaster which may affect the entire neighborhood. So build a disaster kit. Earlier, Graham touched upon having a kit in your car. And Roberta, I think you asked, what would you have in a kit in a car? Typically, for a car kit, you want to have at least enough water, 2 to 3 bottles of water. You want to have comfortable shoes. Many times people are either going to church, going to a job. They're dressed up for those types of things. They're not dressed up to walk a mile or 2 back home. And the last thing you want to do is try to walk that far if you have heels on. So, comfortable shoes. The weather might change a touch. Have layering clothing in your kit in the car, and have a little bit of food to be able to make your way back home if you had to walk home or had to wait for a ride. Those are the types of things you would want to have in a car kit. Now at home, a disaster kit is designed to give you enough time until services can get to you. And typically we say at least a 3-day supply of items, but it can be up to 5-7 days of items if you want to be that extensive in your kit. What do you want to have in your kit? You want to have the most important thing, water. Water is by far the most important thing you can have in a kit. A normal person will drink at least 1 quart to 2 quarts of water per day, depending on the weather and depending on the amount of activity that you might be engaged in. Someone who is health challenged may need more water. If you have a kidney disease where you must keep drinking water, You have to take that into your own plans for your disaster preparedness. Other things you might want to have in your kit. You might want to have a little bit of food. Now, we do have commercially available food bars, and that will last 10 years if you don't open them. Any type of food that you can eat is important to have in your kit. A lot of people put canned goods. A lot of people buy the cans that have the pull tabs rather than having to use a can opener. A lot of people will buy commercially available food bars, like a power bar type bar to have in their kits. But any food that you can eat is what you want to put into your kit. Other things, first aid supplies. And the first aid supplies doesn't have to be extensive. Some Band-Aids, some salves, some alcohol wipes, something that will help you if you get a small minor injury. Other things, small transistor portable radio. There's nothing better than to have knowledge of what's going on, and nothing worse than not knowing what's happening. The transistor radio will help you to learn what's going on and to be able to respond to it. There's several radio stations. I believe KHAY in Ventura County is the local station. I know that KNX out of LA broadcasts here, and you can hear it all the way up to San Luis Obispo. It is a very good station as well. That'll give you valuable information that you need. Earlier we talked about VC Alert. Just the other day we had an event in Santa Paula where there was a hazardous material spill that occurred in fairly much an agricultural area. There was about 500 people in that area. They used VC Alert to contact each of those people and have them evacuate. It's a wonderful thing. Sign up for VC Alert if you want to be informed on what's going on around you. That was an embedded video that did not play. Sorry. These are some of the items that I've been talking about. The water, canned goods, first aid, shoes, clothing, anything you might need to make it through 3 days. A lot of people are intimidated, though, by putting this kit together. They think it has to be an expensive item. And yes, you can go someplace and buy a pre-made kit that can be very expensive. However, you don't need to do that. Most people have a spare jacket they can put in the kit. Most people have a spare set of shoes they can put in the packet. If you are able to, as you go to the store once a week, buy a separate item of food and slowly build your system, slowly build your pack, so that by the end of 3 or 4 months, you are ready, you are prepared. It doesn't have to be done all at once, but you should take that first step and start preparing for the next disaster. For seniors, it's very important to have spare medications in your package. Now, spare medications, if you're able to get a vacation prescription from your doctors, get that vacation prescription, buy it, put it in your pack, and you are set for at least 7 to 14 days of medication. Medication will be difficult to come by in an emergency. Localized, the hospitals are going to be inundated. There may not be the medication available, and if your medication has to come from any distance, it'll be very difficult to get it. So prepare for it. A lot of people have asked me, how do you prepare? It's done step by step, and if you're in a situation where you're not as adept as perhaps you were as a younger person, that just means you have to prepare more. You're not as able to adjust to the situation, so you have to be ready. If you need to have oxygen, have a spare tank of oxygen handy. It doesn't take that much to become prepared, but it will make a world of difference if you need it. These are some of the handy tools you could have. Of course, flashlights, spare batteries, the good old Swiss Army knife. Other things that you would probably want to have. Important papers or copies of important papers. If you have a passport or a driver's license, make a copy of it and put it in your kit. If you have insurance papers, make a copy of it, put it in your kit. Especially for seniors and those with special needs, have a copy of your doctor's phone numbers and put it in the kit. Those contacts will make it very, very easy for someone to help you later on down the line. I have a little bit of cash in this slide. If you have a little bit of extra cash, that is a great idea. If you remember in the '94 earthquake, all the computer terminals went down, and the only way you could buy a cup of milk is with cash. One other thing I should mention, especially for those of us that wear glasses, if you have a spare set of glasses, put that in your kit as well. Plan for your pets. A lot of people love their pets. They're like their family. Unfortunately, in a shelter, pets are not allowed because obviously some people are allergic to pets. And if you're in a shelter, you're in a shared location, so you cannot bring your pets into the shelter. However, pets are allowed near the shelter. If you drive your car, the pets are allowed to stay there. And we also now have relationships with, the Red Cross has relationships with the local animal shelters for the county, and they will accept pets as part of what they do. And if the incident is large enough, they're set up to bring a portable shelter to our locations. So we have made some accommodations for pets because we realize how much people love them. We simply can't have them in a shelter because of the way other people need to have their time. This is just, if you need to build a kit, just do it a little bit at a time, but you have to take that first step and you have to be consistent to do it. Make a plan. Graham talked about it a little bit earlier. If you have a meeting place, if you have a disaster, you need to let people know where you are. A personal disaster, say a fire in a house, let your neighbors know, I'll be out by the telephone pole. Come see me at the telephone pole. Let your family know you'll be at a certain location, and have everybody know that location and be able to go there as well. After you complete your plan, you need a communications plan as well. Graham also talked about that. Have an out-of-state contact. It's important to be able to have an out-of-state contact so that you can call one person and have that person call everybody else. The Red Cross also has a program, Safe and Well program. And if you register at a shelter, if you come into one of our shelters, we will register you with Safe and Well and put your contact information available for people to call into the Red Cross and find out where you are. So we also are trying to make a nice communication plan for people who come to our shelters. Escape routes. If you are in a building, have two ways out. If you notice, this building here has two doors. Every place should have two ways out so that if one is blocked, you can easily access the other one. That goes for your homes, it goes for your apartments, it goes for your places of business. Let's see. Also, be informed. How do you be informed? VC Alert is a great way to be informed. The radio stations are a great way to be informed. Once you know if you are able to prepare, you also have to know what your local risks are. We mentioned earlier that the most common risk is a house fire. In our area, we have wildfire, flooding, and earthquake. So those are the three major things that we need to be prepared for. How do you be prepared for those? If you have a smartphone, the Red Cross has an app for you. We have apps that will prepare you for all the major disasters you might face: earthquake, fire, tornadoes, hurricanes. It'll also have an app for first aid that'll aid you in how to perform stopping bleeding and breathing. We also have websites where you can go to the Red Cross and plan and prepare for any type of disaster. The key for planning and preparing, as we've been saying all day, you must do it before the time is needed. Do it now. Do it one step at a time. How do you connect with us? We have the Red Cross at Ventura, redcross.org, CA Ventura, and also if you need to, if you have relatives or friends in Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo counties, we also have websites at those locations. If you would like to join us, this is probably the best way to become prepared, is to live it every day. You can give your time. A lot of you I know donate blood, or you can donate cash to the Red Cross. All of our operating expense comes from donations. We are not a government-supported organization. We are strictly nonprofit. And that's all I have for you today. Do you have any questions?
Nancy.
Helpful, and I think I always forget to do the stuff to be prepared. One of the things, I worked in personal insurance claims for years, and one of the things that we found was so important, particularly like Northridge or the big fires where it's a lot, is if people, it's not for their real own safety and security so much, but if they have a list of all the stuff in their house, or if they have pictures of stuff, because at the end the insurance company is going to say, show me some proof of all the stuff you had. And it's such a great preparation if people make a list or take a video in their own house of their stuff for in case the worst happens. Again, just a preparation thing.
That's an excellent point, and to have that available for reimbursement somewhere down the line is very important.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I had two questions. One is, when you prepare this kit, where's the best place to store that kit? The garage, in the house, in the car? I mean,
typically you want to put it in an area where you can easily find it. A lot of times the garages tend to have too many things in them to begin with, and a garage, especially in our area where you may have an earthquake, a lot of the things tend to fall and bury things inside the garage. There's also a lot of, typically people have a lot of hazardous materials in their garage, and you wouldn't want to contaminate your kit with any of those hazardous materials such as gasoline or pesticides and that sort of thing. What we recommend is that you have an interior closet, say a hall closet, a coat closet, where you would put it. A closet is one of the strongest points in any home because of the small space that it has walls all around it. So it'll be a very secured place, and typically it won't it'd be easy to find if you open that door.
Yeah, my second question is, all of these services you mentioned, the blood and the classes and everything, are all of the Red Cross services free?
No, they're not. A lot of the classes are for a fee. All the things we do in disaster services, in other words, if you were to have a home fire and we were to come out and assist you, those are provided free. Blood services, if you want to donate blood to the Red Cross, they will accept it free. But the classes are not free. Our services, armed forces, are provided no charge, as well as the services of the international community. So the only one we do charge for is first aid classes and the like.
Thank you for a really terrific presentation. You know, after the Northridge quake, I thought, I need a kit. Okay, like that happens. It's in your mind after. So I put together a kit and put it in the hall closet, actually, and forgot about it. Thank God we didn't have any more shaking for a long time. And so years later, there's my kit. And I'm thinking, is this water still good? Are these bars still good? And especially the medication, probably not so much. So, I was thinking that the fire alarm industry now has ingrained in us through their public service announcements that we need to check the batteries if we have a battery that doesn't have a 10-year life in our fire alarm twice a year when we change our clocks. Does the Red Cross have any sort of plan to remind us to check these kits and keep them up to date so that we're not doing stupid things like I am and making a kit and forgetting about it?
Thank you for that. That's an excellent point. The kits do need to be periodically reviewed and refreshed. Water is good for about 1 year in their containers. We don't recommend you go any further than that. That's commercially available water. If you were to go buy Arrowhead type waters, they're usually good for up to a year. Medication, of course, is whatever the expiration date for the medication is. And food, we typically like to see it change out within a year as well. Your analogy for the smoke detection, you change your clock, change your battery, is probably very applicable to your emergency kit as well.
Go.
To show how easy you just suggested the app, and I'm really not very swift at downloading apps, and I got it already, and it's there, so it's totally. Do
you have a mic on?
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Bob, for suggesting the apps. I just downloaded mine in that very few minutes that we were talking, so really easy. I did the earthquake one just in case, so very simple to do.
The apps are very, very informative, and they're easy to download. Again, the keys, you have to read them before you feel the earth shaking.
Bob, I have one other suggestion, and it comes from being a part of the disaster mental health team and been deployed to a number of shelters. I've had people come in and we ask them, what medication are you taking? Well, I don't know, a pink pill and a yellow pill. And, oh yeah, those white ones I take at night. So what I suggest to people, and I do now carry in my car, is a list of my current medications and of my medical history. So if people could keep a copy on a 3x5 card of their medications in their wallet. If you have to go to a shelter and you don't have time to grab your kit and your medications, at least you have that. And the Red Cross will see to it that you can get temporary medications.
That's also one of the things we will do for our clients in the shelter. If they need medications, if they need other medical devices, we will do our best to get that to them.
Right.
But we do need to know what those are.
Right.
I appreciated your comments on prescription medications, and I certainly see advantages in our having a separate prescription, like a vacation prescription and so forth, so that the medications can be kept in their original packaging that has the expiration date on it in the kit. However, many medications, particularly critical medications today, are restricted. You can only get so many of them. You have to use those up before you can get any more because they're addicting or they have some market value outside their intended use and so forth. Do you have any further instructions for how people could deal with this situation of their really critical medications they cannot get extra pills?
Typically, if you explain the situation to your physicians, they will be able to give you those. There may be the unusual medication that is so restricted that you can't get it for an extra amount of medications. But typically, my experience has been physicians will prescribe you a vacation pack if you explain why you need it. Well, thank you very much for having the Red Cross.
Thank you for coming.
All right, item 9 on our agenda are commissioner comments. Do we have any commissioner comments today? Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to talk for just a couple minutes about a project called the Giving Tree, which is sponsored by the Children's Services Auxiliary of Ventura County, that runs during the month of December at the Pacific View Mall in Ventura, as well as the Oaks Mall in Thousand Oaks. Giving Tree donations are used during the month to provide toys and gifts for court-dependent children and needy families in the community. Court-dependent children may be living in foster care, group homes at Casa Pacifica with relatives or guardians, or at home with their birth families. At the Oaks Mall, the Giving Tree is located at the entrance to the food court, right as you come in from the parking structure into the food court. From now through Christmas Eve. And it is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. We are looking for more volunteers to sit at the Giving Tree and receive contributions from the kind folks in the community. I will be there today, December 3rd, from 4 to 6, and on Sunday from noon till 3. Please come by and say hello. We have a tree with ornaments on it where children have selected various gifts that you can pick an ornament and buy a particular gift for a particular child. And it's a really, really wonderful thing to do. Foster kids especially have so much to deal with. So take a few minutes, please, or volunteer to sit at the Giving Tree for a couple hours this December. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I have a couple of comments. Many of you have participated over the past several months in the city's Visioning 2064 effort and so forth. And the final public meeting for this activity will be held this Saturday at the Thousand Oaks Library, Saturday, December 6th, and it'll be from 9 to 11:30. And if you plan to attend this session, it's a group session that's really sort of intended to bring all the pieces together and have them coalesce into a sort of consistent, comprehensive plan. But you should RSVP not later than tomorrow to Christine. That's C. Broughton, CBROUGHTON at toaks.org, or you can call her at 449-2122. The second comment I have is an announcement that our Senior Adult Master Plan is going to have its annual breakfast that is open to all current and prospective future volunteers with the SAMP program. It's going to be held Thursday, December 11th at 8:30. If you would like to attend this, please RSVP not later than Monday the 8th to Council on Aging at toaks.org, or by calling Francine at 381-7362. And you'll be notified of the location when you register for that. Thank you very much. Nancy?
Just going on what Nick just said, I'd so like to encourage people to come to the Sampig breakfast. There are so many big issues facing our city for seniors: housing, transportation, lots of things that you can get involved in. This is the perfect chance to get to know some really super people who live here, and also to get involved in some of the very pressing issues for seniors that we have today. So join us. It's really a nice breakfast too. So thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we're adjourned.